New to social casinos? You're in for a treat. Most online casinos offer bonus cash or coins just for signing up. That's your own little participation trophy. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
Rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple
15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Dr. Dre said at one time here, James Wood, always up to no good, man. I like a couple players in that lineup, and on a day-to-day basis can really get after it. Again, playing good baseball, 15-19 overall. We'll see how they pursue.
The Reds. Reds are a really fun team. We're going to talk about them a ton, and I don't think they'll compete for a wild card. But again, they're a team like the Nats where they're going to give other teams trouble at times, and they can't overlook that matchup. Cubs win the division, as we all expected.
Pro baseball today, only on SportsGrid.
The Warriors' future was uncertain. Are they going to break it up? Is Steve Kerr coming back? They get Jimmy Butler, and they surge all the way through, and now they're through the first round.
The Warriors have guys, because of how special their star three trio is, they can make the guys around them better. They can elevate the way that they played. And we saw that. Steph Curry, 3 points in the first half, steps up in the second half, 19 points in the second half to carry them home.
NewsWire, only on SportsGrid.
Good morning. Welcome to NewsWire. Happy Friday to those who celebrate. I'm Craig Mish. Thanks for tuning in to the show today. We'll cover the National Basketball Association throughout the program. Gilbert McGregor joins us here on the show, as well as Brad Thomas. He will join us and talk a little bit about the games that passed and also look ahead to the weekend as well. Danny Burke previews some Major League Baseball with us. Big slate this weekend coming, especially on Friday night. And Sam McQuillan is our guest from Legal Sports Report in the house today. Let's get started with the latest on sports betting's possibility happening in Oklahoma. Efforts to legalize sports betting there, for those of you in the Midwest or Southwest, have officially failed. So no sports betting in Oklahoma coming in 2025. That ends the legislative push for this year. There is a possibility this could come back on the market in 2026. By the way, the debate is between the free market approach as opposed to having a tribal entity model approach. And right now, as of now, no sports betting in Oklahoma. We may not get a state legalizing sports betting for the first time coming up here in 2025. Meanwhile, the Minnesota Timberwolves take care of business in Game 2 against the Golden State Warriors. Of course, Golden State playing without Steph Curry, and they win 117-93. The game was not close. Who pitched in big time? It was Julius Randle in this one. 24 points, 7 rebounds, and 11 assists. Anthony Edwards left the game briefly with a injured ankle, but did return to the game and score 20 points. The Warriors tried to use more of an effort of using several players, is what Steve Kerr said. That did not work. Julius Randle said going back to the drawing board and watching the video helped him.
Yeah, I think that was just something I looked at on film. I felt like I made, some pretty good reads last game. We just all were in a funk. And today we were in a little bit of a better rhythm, obviously. But, I felt like sometimes, last game I might have overpassed when I got to my spots and could have looked the score. And, so I tried to have a little bit of balance for both. But, credit to our guys, our team, and everybody knocked down shots. They were in the right place like they were last game. We just made shots.
Julius, how rare is it to see a team use like 13, 14 guys in a playoff series and like a revolving door coming in and out of there in that game? Mm-hmm. You guys have to get used to different guys. How rare is that in a playoff series?
It's rare, but at the end of the day, it's also Steve Kerr. He's kind of done that all year. If you watch their team, and you know, hats off to him. He has, every guy on their bench prepared and ready to play. So you really got to be locked into the scouting report and know what each player does, and, just know their tendencies, because, he's not afraid to use anybody on his bench.
Meanwhile, speaking of the bench, that was the goal of the Warriors, to sort of replace Steph Curry with several players, which obviously didn't get done yesterday, says Steve Kerr, as the Warriors head back to the Bay Area.
Well, I think part of the game plan coming in was to play a lot of people. And we did. I think we played 13, 14 people in the first half. And part of the reasoning is, obviously the fatigue of, the run we've been on with all the travel and the games. But part of it also is we have to figure out what we're going to be able to do in this series without Steph. And so we gave a lot of people a lot of chances, and then, some guys really stepped up. Trace and JK were both really good in this game. You could see that their athleticism was important. And I thought we made a really spirited run, got it to 7, and then we just kind of lost a little bit of composure. We turned it over right out of that timeout a couple of times and gave up a couple of threes where we lost connection defensively. But we learned a lot, and I think this game will help us figure out, how to move forward.
All right, now let's get to the latest in the National Hockey League. Big win last night for the Washington Capitals. They take care of business against the Carolina Hurricanes 3-1. So the series is now tied at 1. Tom Wilson, big game for the Caps. He had a goal and an assist, and so the Caps were in control of the game from start to finish. Still not favored to win the series, but at the very least, they have a chance now when they head back, of course, to Game 3. Here's Spencer Carberry after the game talking about how they needed that win.
It was much better. That there's no doubt about that. So we felt that. You guys saw that. Way better. I still think we have another level to get to, and we're going to need to get to that level, especially going down into their building. So I do think that. I think, though, the way that we played, some adjustments we made, feel like we're getting there. Guys can feel it. We're getting a little bit more confident. We feel like we can punch back. We feel like we're right there in these games, or in the game today. And now, okay, we can carry play for a while. We can keep this going. And now it's about sustaining it and being able to protect the lead, all the different stuff. But so it was a positive step, to get on the board and win a game and get this series knotted up, but also to give us a bit of confidence. And then hopefully we can get one more level, because we're going to need it going down there. We're going to have to get a little bit better, and we'll make a few more adjustments and look at that.
Overtime was needed last night between the Vegas Golden Knights and Edmonton Oilers, 5-4 the final in favor of Edmonton. They go up 2-0 in the best-of-7 series. In fact, the Oilers were up 2 goals with 4 minutes left in the third period. The Knights tied it up, but then Leon Draisaitl scored the game-winning goal, as now Edmonton in command in the 7-game series. Connor McDavid said after the game it was a win, but wasn't pretty.
Yeah, it wasn't pretty, obviously. Not pretty at all. Thought picks held us in. Thought we were fortunate to find a way to be up 2 a couple times there, and obviously didn't close it out. Found a way, though. Obviously we'd like to score 1 on the power play there, 5 minutes. Not our group's best. But yeah, found a way.
Connor, your fourth line gets 2 goals. Your second line chips in again. You mentioned Picker. What does this whole team effort mean to this group right?
Well, it takes everybody. I mean, we know that. Everyone knows that. It takes everyone up and down the lineup. And we're getting help all over. That Janmark line has been, really, really, really good since they've been together. I guess you could call them the fourth line. They're hardly the fourth line. They're playing great. Same with that, that Nuge line. Henrique's line scores a bunch, the other night too. So getting help all over. The back end scored a couple. Picks was great. It's great.
In Major League Baseball, the first managerial firing of the season happens in early May. Unfortunately, it's Derek Shelton of the Pittsburgh Pirates that loses his gig. He went 306 and 440 in 5+ season with the Pirates. They're off to an awful start this year certainly are the Pirates, and who knows where they go from here. Meanwhile, the Cincinnati Reds have lost their ace, Hunter Green, to an injury, placed on the IL with a groin strain. 4-2, 2.36 earned run average, 61 strikeouts. They'll miss him dearly for the next few weeks. Gabriel Moreno was the big story last night. A grand slam off Yoshinobu Yamamoto, arguably the best pitcher in the National League this season. They gave the Diamondbacks a 5-3 win over the Los Angeles Dodgers. Shohei Ohtani also hit a home run in the ninth, but the story was Yamamoto getting hit for the first time this season, which obviously Dave Roberts, their manager, acknowledged wasn't his best.
He didn't really have his best stuff tonight. What were you seeing from him, and what do you think just really allowed them to get those two big swings?
Yeah, I echo that. I don't think he was as sharp as he has been. Even the 3-2 breaking ball to Pavin Smith, if he strikes that, I think it's a different inning, a different game. Gets count leverage on Suarez and hits him with the split to load the bases. And I honestly thought Moreno took a good swing on a 2-0 cutter, but was behind in the count to go opposite way. Really good swing. And then the Marte homer I thought was a good pitch. It was down and in, maybe in off a little bit. But again, I think the story is he just wasn't completely sharp tonight.
We'll be right back with Gilbert McGregor of Sporting News talking NBA. Don't go away.
Knows how to show love to our everyday heroes. So if you're a first responder, you are in for some perks. Lots of hotels and casino offer big discounts to any first responders who can show valid work or volunteer ID. So treat yourself to a discounted stay. You deserve it. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
The Warriors' future was uncertain. Are they going to break it up? Steve Kerr coming back. They get Jimmy Butler. And they surge all the way through, and now they're through the first round.
The Warriors have guys, because of how special their star trio is, they can make the guys around them better. They can elevate the way that they play. And we saw that. Steph Curry, 3 points in the first half, steps up in the second half, 19 points in the second half to carry them home.
NewsWire. Only on SportsGrid.
Under him was Sharon Moore, who also participated in the cheating scandal with Connor Stallions. So you know what happens to him? He doesn't lose his job. He doesn't get a 10-year show cause. He gets to keep his job, and they go, we're just going to suspend you for 2 games next season.
Now, all of a sudden, they're coming out with everything that we knew to be pretty much true when it was happening. Yeah, they were cheating. It was like Belichick and the videotapes, right?
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple 15.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. The Timberwolves respond in Game 2 of their best of 7 against Golden State Warriors. Let's bring in Gilbert McGregor to break it all down and also take a look at tonight's game between Oklahoma City and Denver. Gilbert, great to have you back here on NewsWire. Okay, so the Timberwolves are like apparently the only team in the NBA that got the memo. If you're a big favorite, you got to beat a team. You got to crush a team. I know Oklahoma City did it last game too. I understand that. But like this was like finally something that was supposed to happen. I guess the question from here is, Gilbert, did you see enough from Minnesota to think that they could just now run through the Warriors without Steph?
Yeah, I mean, you look at the definition of responding, and I think that some of the teams can take a note or two from what Oklahoma City and Minnesota did in Game 2 in their respective series. I think the big thing about it, though, is just the Warriors have no chance without Stephen Curry, and that's the reality of it. And the Timberwolves took advantage of that. They still had to show up and make plays, and they made plays from the beginning, getting off to a great start and really just identifying and letting them know that they didn't have a chance in that game. It's going to be a little bit of a different story when the series goes back to the Bay Area, but I have full confidence in Minnesota, especially given what they showed last night, and especially the fact that Golden State this season and throughout the playoff series, no surprise, just isn't the same without Stephen Curry on the court.
Let's hit Julius Randle real quick. 24.7 rebounds, 11 assists, 10 of 17 from the field. I mean, these were the numbers I thought we'd see from Anthony Edwards in game one. And then, of course, he got hurt a little bit in game two. But this is somebody stepping up that they really needed.
Absolutely. And this has been a big playoffs for Julius Randle because the notion on him coming into these playoffs was, can he perform in the postseason? He's had struggles during his time with the Knicks in the playoffs, and that was the big knock on him. And him stepping up, he did it in the Lakers series against his former team, and he's doing it again now in this series against the Golden State Warriors, just stepping up, being able to be a playmaker, rebounding, taking advantage of the thin front court that the Warriors have. That mismatch advantage, either it's Randle, either it's Gobert on the boards, and that's been the difference, especially in game two.
So now, right now, the Warriors are plus 265. So obviously, if you think that they have a shot to win this without Steph, this is the best odds you're going to get as they go back to the Bay Area. Total amount of games still over 5.5 minus 188. So, Gilbert, I don't know. When I look at these odds, tell me if I'm wrong here. If Minnesota just wins the next three, series is over. And look at this. You get plus 152 on under 5.5 games. I guess the assumption is maybe Curry would come back for a fifth game. But, I mean, I don't know about you. I don't see Minnesota winning the next, or Golden State winning either of the next two.
Yeah, a lot has to go wrong for Minnesota and a lot has to go right for Golden State in order for them to get one of these two games at home without Stephen Curry. I think there's a path, but it seems like an unlikely path. Now, Steph Curry coming back in game 5 potentially, he's talked about where he is. He said he can't do anything other than stationary shooting right now. That doesn't give me much confidence in how much of Steph Curry we'll actually see. Will he be 75 or 80% of himself if he comes back? So it does kind of feel like the Timberwolves are going to win the next three and do away with this series, but they've laid eggs. They've given duds before. So there's always a chance that happens, and Jimmy Butler is the type of person that can take advantage of that.
Yeah, that's true. Minnesota has played down also to some opponents this season. Okay, so the Thunder, look, they had this incredible game last game. It does make sense that they would be favored, Gilbert, but this is a lot on the road at Denver. 5.5 points, total of 232.5. Social media, I read, comments, stuff like that. A lot of people feel like if the Thunder go to Denver tonight and win by a lot, the series is over. The odds makers are telling us it could happen.
Absolutely. And I think that's what's going to happen. I know they talked about the fact that the Nuggets won game 1 in thrilling fashion, nonetheless. And it was 48 hours after their game 7 win. But what I think is that rest versus rust, the rust got in the Thunder's way. I think the Thunder definitely made a statement in game 2 and showed just how much better they are than this Nuggets team. Are they 50 points better? Probably not. But I recognize that they are definitely motivated by what happened in game 1. And I think that they're going to continue to build on that. And I don't think the Nuggets win another game in this series. It feels like the Thunder are on their way to a 5-game series victory. They're a really good team.
Yeah, and they're minus 195 on FanDuel to win the West. Minnesota plus 330, and then long shot odds for Denver and Golden State at this point. But obviously, Oklahoma City, the clear favorite there. Okay, so intriguing series we have going on right here now in Indianapolis, where, boy, the Cavs are favored again. They've lost the first 2 games. They're both close. The Pacers are getting 3 at home. Gilbert, I'm not surprised that Indiana is playing this well, and I won't be surprised if they win tonight and even win the series. But this, to me, is a tough game to call because I do think at some point Cleveland's going to win a game, but I don't know. Will it be tonight? Will it be next game? I'm just not sure.
Well, it has to be tonight if they want to have a chance in this series. No team has ever come back from a 3-0 series deficit in the NBA playoffs. The Celtics came close a few years ago, but again, it just shows how many things have to go right. So this is one of the biggest games in this iteration of Cavs franchise history, one of the biggest games in Donovan Mitchell's career, and I expect them to play and treat it as such. It's still questionable. Darius Garland, DeAndre Hunter, and Evan Mobley are still questionable for tonight's game, so that'll be something to keep an eye on. If they're available, that makes a world of difference. No surprise there. But I expect to see Donovan Mitchell motivated again. He had 48 points in game 2, and they just lost in heartbreaking fashion. So this is a huge game for Cleveland. I expect them to treat it as such. I expect them to get a win.
All right. Boston at New York at the Garden on Saturday afternoon. biggest game for the Knicks at home in a long time, and they're getting 5.5 points. Odds makers are still telling us the Celtics are going to wake up. I don't know, Gilbert. Like, I mean, sell me on that at this point. I don't know. I can't see it.
There's two sides of the coin, right? There's a reason why the Knicks were able to come back from 20 points in back-to-back games. There's also a big reason why the Celtics have been able to build 20-point leads. And similar to the Cavaliers, the Celtics cannot fall into a 3-0 series hole. This is a huge game for their title defense. Honestly, their title defense depends on this game, and I expect them to see that type of effort from them. Now, I don't know if they'll split these games in New York or not. This is a really, really good road team the Celtics team is. So I expect them to come out and take care of business just as they were doing before they blew their leads in game 1 and game 2.
All right, so I will put you on the spot here. I didn't do it in the West because that was easy. But look at where Indiana is now, from like 10-1 to plus 360 now to win the East. It's wide open with these 4 teams. Gilbert, do you still taking Boston right now? I mean, if you're not going to do it, this is your time to get out.
You know, I lean slightly towards Boston. We've seen this happen before. Teams kind of come back and just bounce back with their backs against the wall. But Indiana's some good value. They got some luck on their side, and that's worth something in the East.
Yeah, I agree. Indiana seems to be the team for me. All right, Gilbert, thanks again for coming on. Really appreciate it. Have a good weekend.
Sounds good. You do the same.
All right, baseball previews up next with Danny Burke from Odds Shopper. Stay on the grid. We'll be back after this.
Vegas knows how to show love to our everyday heroes. So if you're a first responder, you are in for some perks. Lots of hotels and casino offer big discounts to any first responders who can show valid work or volunteer ID. So treat yourself to a discounted stay. You deserve it. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
The Warriors' future was uncertain. Are they going to break it up? Steve Kerr coming back. They get Jimmy Butler, and they surge all the way through, and now they're through the first round.
The Warriors have guys, because of how special their star 3 trio is, they can make the guys around them better. They can elevate the way that they played. And we saw that. Steph Curry, 3 points in the first half, steps up in the second half, 19 points in the second half to carry them home.
NewsWire. Only on SportsGrid.
Under him was Sharon Moore, who also participated in the cheating scandal with Connor Stallions. So you know what happens to him? He doesn't lose his job. He doesn't get a 10-year show cause. He gets to keep his job, and they go, we're just going to suspend you for 2 games next season.
Now, all of a sudden, they're coming out with everything that we knew to be pretty much true when it was happening. Yeah, they were cheating. It was like Belichick and the videotapes, right?
The early line. Only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of 18.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Let's go over the slate tonight in Major League Baseball with Danny Burke from Odds Shopper. See if we can get some opinions, some leans. We'll take anything we can at this point of the baseball season. Danny, thanks for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. Let's get started right into it. Philadelphia Phillies, Cleveland Guardians. Let's start there. Cleveland is at home. Not sure what to make of Aaron Nola at this point. I guess that is the question. Nola has struggled at the start of the season. So he's looked a little better. The pitcher tonight for Cleveland is Gavin Williams. Every year, Danny, they try to sell me that Gavin Williams is going to front this rotation and he's going to be the ace. Every year, this is like 3 years in a row I've heard this. 3 years in a row. I'm looking at May. His ERA is 5. What do you make of tonight's game?
Look, I honestly think Gavin Williams could have a pretty good performance today, and I'm kind of with you, right? He's like teetering back and forth, and I still have yet to be fully convinced. I mean, that 5.06 ERA certainly doesn't help, and his expected ERA of 5.81 also does not aid in the conversation. But his xFIP is 3.93, and his SIERA is relatively low as well. So again, I think he shows some promise. But with that being said, I still think the edge remains on the side of Philadelphia, offensively speaking. Naturally, that kind of goes without being said. But Aaron Nola is kind of due to pop up here, right? I mean, he's been underperforming. And, if there's a guy who can bounce back, Aaron Nola is certainly one of them. His 4.61 ERA is not stellar. We all understand this, but his xFIP is sub 4. It's at 3.82. So he's also coming off a really good outing against Arizona, shutout performance. And sometimes it kind of scares people away from betting that pitcher the very next game. But I think more so in this situation with a guy like Aaron Nola, who's been struggling, it was kind of getting the monkey off his back, and now he can parlay that into another good effort against his Cleveland team. So I would lay a little bit with Philadelphia here. Not necessarily my favorite play, but in terms of the side, I think this would be the top selection for Friday.
Okay. All right. Fair enough, Danny. All right. So here's the game where we say, do we let the trend be our friend? The Orioles can't win at all on the road, but they're favored again tonight. At least they have one of their best pitchers going, if not their best pitcher, in Sugano. Angels have Kyle Hendricks. We kind of know what he's going to do. He's going to go 5 or 6 innings. He's going to give up 2-3 runs, total 9.5. I don't like the Angels at all, but my gosh, at some point, Danny, the odds going to start shifting against Baltimore here.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think, and that's why I said the last game was one of my favorite sides. I mean, I gravitate toward Baltimore, but I think the safer play here is to just take over 9.5. I mean, Sugano is great with his 3 ERA, but his underlying metrics are terrifying with a 5.45 expected ERA. His FIP is at 5.13. His home run to fly ball ratio, usually want that under 10%. He's at 15%, and we're still relatively in a smaller sample size, but it just seems like what he's been able to do isn't necessarily sustainable. And it is a little worrisome with the lack of offense you get out of Los Angeles, but if there's a spot for them to kind of prop themselves up, this certainly could be the one. Now, on the other side, Craig, I mean, I'm a diehard Cubs fan, so I always have love for Kyle Hendricks. Simultaneously, I have love for fading him, and this is a fantastic spot to do so. Most spots are fantastic to fade Kyle Hendricks over about the past 2 to 3 years. I mean, his numbers are just atrocious still. He's got a 5.55 FIP. His home run to fly ball ratio is over 10%. He's walking 3.5 batters per 9 innings, and his batting average of balls in play is over 200. So not a good sign from Kyle Hendricks still. I like there to be over 9.5 runs in this spot.
Dodgers have been mortal a little recently. Beatable is fair to say, although they still win more than they lose a lot. Tonight, Roki Sasaki will pitch for the Dodgers, so that's 5 innings and done. Eduardo Rodriguez pitches for the Diamondbacks. I'm actually surprised as he's like the only pitcher in their rotation that hasn't been getting the job done. But look, Diamondbacks always play up when they play the Dodgers. Total 9.5 tonight.
Yeah, they do. And I think this is another offensive firepower type of game here between these division rivals. It's always fun watching them play. And I think Sasaki, another pitcher with a 3.86 ERA, where his underlying metrics are indicating that he could get beat up. 5.52 expected ERA. He's walking over 5 batters per 9 innings. Another high BABIP of 2.38. And we know that Arizona is capable of mauling any pitcher out there. They're 4th in weighted runs created plus against righties. Rodriguez on the other side, yes, scary ERA. His underlying metrics are indicating he should be better going forward, but it's the Dodgers at the end of the day, and they're going to be capable of putting up 4 to 5 runs on any given night. So I think this will be a really tight game, but a back and score all 9.5 this match.
All right, Danny, thanks again for coming on. We'll catch the games tonight and see you again next week here on NewsWire.
You bet, Craig. Take care.
All right, Danny Burke from Odds Shopper here with us. All right, coming up next, Sam McQuillan's going to join us from Legal Sports Report. Prediction markets has been the hot topic in 2025 in sports betting. Are prediction markets here to stay? Are they going to be expanding? Boy, I mean, we're going to dive into more of this here. The story just keeps on growing. Sam McQuillan will join us up next from Legal Sports Report. So stay with us here on The Grid as we'll be back after these quick messages. Don't go away.
to show love to our everyday heroes. So if you're a first responder, you are in for some perks. Lots of hotels and casino offer big discounts to any first responders who can show valid work or volunteer ID. So treat yourself to a discounted stay. You deserve it. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
The Warriors' future was uncertain. Are they going to break it up? Is Steve Kerr coming back? They get Jimmy Butler, and they surge all the way through, and now they're through the first round.
The Warriors have guys, because of how special their star trio is, they can make the guys around them better. They can elevate the way that they play. And we saw that. Steph Curry, 3 points in the first half, steps up in the second half, 19 points in the second half to carry them home.
NewsWire. Only on SportsGrid.
Under him was Sharon Moore, who also participated in the cheating scandal with Connor Stallions. So you know what happens to him? He doesn't lose his job. He doesn't get a 10-year show cause. He gets to keep his job, and they go, we're just going to suspend you for 2 games next season.
Now, all of a sudden, they're coming out with everything that we knew to be pretty much true when it was happening. Yeah, they were cheating. It was like Belichick and the videotapes, right?
The early line. Only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple 15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. I'm Craig Mish. We've got Sam McQuillan in the house as we close out the week on Friday. Sam's getting ready for the big NBA game in New York tomorrow, of course, between the Celtics and Knicks. But before we do that, I'm going to ask him for a prediction. Just kidding. Not a prediction on the game, but this prediction market story that we're just hammering home every single day here on NewsWire. You guys are writing about it over on Legal Sports Report. Prediction markets, not sports betting markets, but companies that are doing something similar, and you can bet on them by making predictions. I mean, this Sam has got to come to a head soon. I cannot imagine that now that I believe it's FanDuel that say, hey, we're going to get into the prediction markets too, meaning that all of a sudden, Sam, it's plausible that we have what appears to be legitimate sports betting going on from companies that say that they're not providing sports betting. I mean, something's got to give here.
Yeah, it's one of the most interesting developments happening in our industry right now. And a lot of that pressure is mounting from people saying, hey, if you're not going to call it sports betting, it's not going to have any of the protections that we worked tirelessly for years on to get in with sports betting. And you have these companies like Robinhood, Kalshi, and Crypto.com essentially just whenever they want to launching new markets. They just started doing money line and spread markets on the NBA before the playoffs. And that's caught the attention of the NBA, which actually wrote to the Commodities Futures Trading Commission, which is supposed to be the federal entity that regulates these type of markets. The NBA wrote them saying, this is a threat to the integrity of the game because it doesn't have any of these protections that we have for sports books. These are companies that handled over $500 million on March Madness. Now 80% of their volume on an average weekend is on sports compared to their, what they used to offer only, which was markets like who's going to be the next pope, markets like what's the weather going to be like tomorrow, who's going to win the election. And they actually recently made a filing with the CFTC telling them we intend to launch player prop markets soon. Those are, everyone who watches this show probably knows, bets on the performances of individual athletes. I wouldn't be surprised if they rolled that out before a big event like the NBA Finals. And the NBA is saying, those don't have any of the protections. They're actually warning that what's next? Like, could you soon bet on an injury happening during a game? Could you bet on an officiating decision? There's a lot of integrity concerns that come with that. There's no age verification for these platforms. There's no monitoring of crazy money that comes in last moment. That's how the NBA caught Jonte Porter. All of a sudden, there was tons of money coming in on his player props at licensed sports books. And the NBA knew that because it works with the sports books. The NBA doesn't work with prediction markets and companies like Kalshi. So you could have hundreds of millions of dollars coming in on, whether or not LeBron's going to score 24 points tonight. And there's really no mechanism in place to protect it right now. Now, the NBA is being clear. It's not asking to stop these prediction markets from operating. It's merely telling the CFTC, hey, if you're going to allow this, we need some guardrails urgently. We want to be part of that process. And again, the CFTC hasn't really said anything about this issue. They were supposed to hold a roundtable, which was going to kind of, get all the ducks in a row last month. It got pushed back and then indefinitely canceled. The executive of FanDuel actually just said yesterday he wasn't even sure that it was going to happen in the first place. So a lot of uncertainty about what the CFTC is going to do. They have the current administration has a lot of ties to Kalshi and these companies. So like you said, Craig, it's all going to come to a head soon. It's just a matter of when. But in the meantime, everyone's raising the red flags.
Yeah, definitely so. And again, it's kind of quiet right now. NBA still very bettable, baseball very bettable, NHL. But we all know, Sam, when football season comes, that is when the alarms are going to start to go off, and the availability to do anything you possibly want on the National Football League without being in a legal market. I mean, that's when I think things start to happen, August and September. All right, let's get the latest earnings report from FanDuel. Flutter, clearly it's been a strange year for sports betting, where the books, who generally are always winning, didn't necessarily happen over the last calendar year. What did their numbers indicate?
Yeah, really interesting from Flutter's report about FanDuel in the first quarter. They noted that there's been this industry-wide slowdown in the rate at which people bet more and more. So essentially, handle growth has dropped off a lot. People are still betting more, but it's not at as high a rate as it used to be. This NFL playoffs, it was about 18% growth year over year versus last year when it was 29%, and the year before that when it was 51%. Some investment banks are calling it the biggest concern in the industry right now, which, as you allude to, Craig, is pretty interesting considering, sports books have just been getting crushed quarter to quarter, first on the NFL and March Madness. But when FanDuel announced their earnings, they said it really isn't a big concern from them, the drop off in handle growth. And they had another really great quarter. They had revenue of over $1.6 billion, which is up 18%, and profit of $161 million, which was up over 520%. And that's even with the bad outcomes from March Madness costing about $200 million versus kind of what it expected to take there. So how did they pull it off? The executives talked about not paying attention to handle, but it's actually other metrics that are more important. Bet volume, active users, margins were all up at a very high rate. They held 14.1% on all the money they took. So essentially, that's kind of the margin they're working with there, the kind of the profit they're making on the front end of the sports book. Parlay growth was up about 2%, and promos as a percentage of how much people bet was down 4% as well. So management was very adamant about handle not really mattering as much as it used to. A lot of the times companies could inflate their handle numbers by just giving out free bets and including it in the total amount of money that people bet. So Peter Jackson, the CEO of Flutter, actually said he doesn't even look at handle when he gets his daily reports. He looks at all these other metrics, which are very much up for FanDuel right now. They're widening their market leading position to 48% on the quarter. They're doing very well, even despite, some investment concerns from Wall Street, which seem to be more industry wide. Notably, they also said that they would be interested in launching prediction markets kind of if the dust clears and the states say it's okay, regulators say it okay. Flutter also owns Betfair, which is a global betting exchange, which is pretty much the same thing as a prediction market. It just doesn't operate in the US. So they were vocal that, should this be an avenue that becomes viable, we can do it very easily, very quickly, just like all these other companies have. But for the time being, they're going to kind of wait to see if we get more word from the CFTC, whether or not this stuff is okay.
All right. And finally, let's wrap it up with Penn Entertainment having a hard time, of course, financially with ESPN Bet. The numbers aren't necessarily where they thought they would be. What is this lawsuit that they're facing now?
Yeah, one of Penn's largest investors is now suing the company, which is the latest development after it launched a proxy fight, which is tied to ESPN Bet and its widely publicized struggles, where it just really has not been able to gain any foothold in online sports betting competition, despite the millions and millions of dollars they've spent on this. The investment firm is called HG Vora, and they filed this lawsuit in court, basically accusing Penn of violating federal security laws, allegedly lying to the SEC, and breaching its fiduciary duties to its shareholders. The company is trying to nominate new members to Penn's board. It says Penn has been kind of disingenuous in doing that. They had a meeting earlier this month. It said Penn went back on its word. They're calling it a board reduction scheme. So it's kind of the latest in a big, messy situation for Penn, which again has struggled with online sports betting and now has this proxy fight on their hands. They just reported earnings. Numbers weren't great. So it's going to be another, rough couple months ahead going for Penn. They're going to hope that ESPN Bet turns around, but meantime, they have all this on their plate, and it's very worrisome.
All right. Well, Sam, enjoy the game tomorrow. We'll see what happens. See if the Knicks can go up 3-0. Who would have saw that coming against the Celtics? Thanks again for coming on.
Thanks, Greg.
All right, Sam McQuillan from Legal Sports Report joining us here on the show. And of course, coming up next, Brad Thomas is going to join us. We will talk some NBA as well. So make sure you stay on the grid for that. And we'll dive through the games, including Cleveland and Indiana. Don't go away.
Vegas knows how to show love to our everyday heroes. So if you're a first responder, you are in for some perks. Lots of hotels and casino offer big discounts to any first responders who can show valid work or volunteer ID. So treat yourself to a discounted stay. You deserve it. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
The Warriors' future was uncertain. Are they going to break it up? Steve Kerr coming back. They get Jimmy Butler, and they surge all the way through, and now they're through the first round.
The Warriors have guys, because of how special their star trio is, they can make the guys around them better. They can elevate the way that they play. And we saw that. Steph Curry, 3 points in the first half, steps up in the second half, 19 points in the second half to carry them home.
NewsWire. Only on SportsGrid.
Under him was Sharon Moore, who also participated in the cheating scandal with Connor Stallions. So you know what happens to him? He doesn't lose his job. He doesn't get a 10-year show cause. He gets to keep his job, and they go, we're just going to suspend you for 2 games next season.
Now, all of a sudden, they're coming out with everything that we knew to be pretty much true when it was happening. Yeah, they were cheating. It was like Belichick and the videotapes, right?
The early line. Only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple of 15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire. Brad Thomas is with us from NBC Sports Bet. So that means we're going to take a look at the slate tonight and tomorrow in the National Basketball Association. Brad, great to have you back here on NewsWire. Okay, so a couple series have not gone the way that we thought that they would, to say the least. One of them is the Cleveland-Indiana series, which has certainly turned in favor of the Pacers. They're up 2-0 in the series, Brad. They're underdogs again tonight. They're +3. I mean, at some point, will they get any respect? I don't think so, because this would be the game that I thought, I'm like, okay, what is Cleveland going to be tonight? I'm like, maybe a point and a half. 3-point favorites. What do you make of this one?
I mean, 3 feels pretty right. I thought it'd be closer to 4.5, to be honest, just because it's such a do or die situation. The percentages of teams that are going to come back from a 3-0 deficit just so slim, especially losing the first 2 at home. For the Cavaliers, there's a lot of probably, I wish I could do better. I wish I could have done things differently for not only the players, but for Atkinson as well, because you have a situation where the game is going well and then you lose that game and you look back and you see Donovan Mitchell could have played 40 minutes, probably should have played 40 minutes to avoid going in the 2-0 hole. Yes, a lot had to go wrong for them to lose that game. But if you just look at things that happened in this game, signs pointed to the Pacers at least making a fight, right? They outscored them on the fast break. I think it was 12-2. Out rebounded them. Small things that go a long way. Yes, field goal percentage, that's such a weird stat because it changes time to time, but they even outshot them in the game, right? Like, you have to have Donovan Mitchell just log heavy minutes. But I think with Garland and Mobley and Hunter all shooting around, I think at least 2 of the 3 come back and they win this game by margin.
Yeah, I don't know. I just am scared of Indiana at this point. Going against them is not something I want to do. I want to get in front of them. All right, Denver tonight against Oklahoma City. Odds makers have told now the Thunder are going to be in control of the series. They're 5.5-point road favorites. 232.5 is the total. And look, this is where things get dangerous for Denver because Oklahoma City has a tendency to beat teams by like 70. So, yes. The spread is not 55; it's 5.5. So that's a significant difference there. Brad, do you think they win and cover?
I think they win and cover. This is a really dangerous number, 5.5, because there will be a lot of fight from the Denver Nuggets. But my problem with the Denver Nuggets is if you think they're going to cover in this game, I'd imagine they have to do so by scoring a ton of points, right? I think that means they score over 114 points, which is covering their team total. Then you don't even need to worry about the spread because there's not a real world where the Denver Nuggets, who've struggled defensively all season and struggled defensively in the postseason, are just going to batten down the hatches and keep Oklahoma City at bay. They're going to have to outscore them. And I think that's just a really difficult thing, something difficult to ask when you have guys like MPJ who aren't contributing a ton, Jamal Murray who's been hot and cold throughout the playoffs. It just puts so much onus on Jokic's shoulder. I actually am going to go with Oklahoma City. I locked in at -5. I think this probably gets to -6 range before tip-off. I'm comfortable with it. Oklahoma City's the better team. They got kind of unlucky in that first game where they were outscored and they allowed 36 fourth quarter points. I don't see that happening again.
All right. Now you'd like a prop tonight with Jalen Williams. Tell us which one.
Yeah, I'm taking Jalen Williams under 5.5 assists. It's juiced. It's -145. So this really depends on your juice tolerance. But if you think about it, Jalen Williams has hit this number last game, 7 assists, but he did that on 8 potential assists. That means the need for perfection was almost 100%. Their offense is going to be predicated around SGA. Well, I want to see the difference between Adelman and Mike Malone and how they kind of defended SGA. Because remember, there was 4 games where Malone was the coach. They sent help a lot earlier. Adelman says, let's fill the lanes, send help late, which means SGA on a lot of his possessions has the ball in his hand late in the shot clock. As the shot clock's expiring, that's when he's either going to go up, create contact, take a shot, or pass the ball, giving limited opportunities for, if Jalen Williams catches that pass, to dish it off to the next guy and get that hockey assist for SGA and the actual assist for Jalen Williams. I just don't think the game plan is predicated around Jalen Williams being the creator and facilitator. More if he has the ball in his hands, he's shooting it or taking it to the rim.
All right, so now let's get to the big series in the Big Apple where the Knicks can take a 3-0 lead Saturday afternoon at 3:30 Eastern. Did not see that coming at all. This is the biggest surprise, of course, given that Boston was the number 1 seed. But Brad, I was told that the Celtics were going to bounce back in game 2. Not only win, cover, take care of business. I don't know. Knicks did it again. They won again. And by the way, they may not even win tomorrow. But 5.5 points at home? What am I missing?
I don't know. This feels so weird, right? Like, I feel like the Celtics are going to have to start shooting better, but ultimately the Celtics didn't really do anything wrong except for blow 20-point leads in back-to-back games. The Celtics are a much better team. I think it really starts with Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum is such a big physical presence, and his first move cannot be the step back three against what I would consider a team that he should be able to get in the lane, a clumsier team in terms of fouling, or get guys in foul trouble like Karl Anthony Towns. Mitchell Robinson, make him foul you, get these guys to be ineffective in the game because they're worried about you driving and fouling, not stepping back and shooting the three. You're almost 6'10". And I think he has to make changes. But that ISO ball by him and Jaylen Brown, that has been the Achilles heel for this team. It's not the three-point shooting misses. It's the ISO ball because it's really poor offense.
Finally, Brad, the Timberwolves will take on the Golden State Warriors Saturday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. We've now learned that Steph Curry is worth a handful of points when he doesn't play because Minnesota probably still would have been favored, I would imagine, by a point, maybe a point and a half. They're 5-point favorites now. And I guess it's all about Jimmy Butler in this one, right, Brad? In order for them to even cover this game, this is going to determine the series. Jimmy's going to have a monster game on Saturday.
Yeah, I'm taking his points over 23.5. It's even money right now. Jimmy Butler is a guy in these first two games who's averaging 23.6 usage rate. That is not going to get it done. He needs to be in the 30s at minimum, which means he's going to need to score and be effective for this team, or else they might as well book a flight to Cancun.
Brad, great stuff. Enjoy the games this weekend. We'll catch up again next week. Thanks again.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Take care.
All right. And we'll take a quick timeout and be back to wrap it up next. Don't go away.
Vegas knows how to show love to our everyday heroes. So if you're a first responder, you are in for some perks. Lots of hotels and casino offer big discounts to any first responders who can show valid work or volunteer ID. So treat yourself to a discounted stay. You deserve it. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
The Warriors' future was uncertain. Are they going to break it up? Steve Kerr coming back. They get Jimmy Butler, and they surge all the way through, and now they're through the first round.
The Warriors have guys, because of how special their star three trio is, they can make the guys around them better. They can elevate the way that they played. And we saw that. Steph Curry, 3 points in the first half, steps up in the second half, 19 points in the second half to carry them home.
NewsWire. Only on SportsGrid.
Under him was Sharon Moore, who also participated in the cheating scandal with Connor Stallions. So you know what happens to him? He doesn't lose his job. He doesn't get a 10-year show cause. He gets to keep his job, and they go, we're just going to suspend you for 2 games next season.
Now, all of a sudden, they're coming out with everything that we knew to be pretty much true when it was happening. Yeah, they were cheating. It was like Belichick and the videotapes, right?
The early line. Only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that rim. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of 15.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Professional boxer coming out of retirement. Heard that story before. Also, another Ohtani. Is it possible? And what's going on in Boston with Rafael Devers? Those are our topics as we wrap up the week with some last licks. All right, let's start in Boston. We didn't do this earlier in the show because it's, it is a story, but it's like kind of a disagreement. I don't know how much we should be doing on this, but needless to say, this happens in baseball. Rafael Devers is arguably the best player on the Boston Red Sox, although Alex Bregman would care to differ this year. He's having a great year. So you may remember the story in spring training. Devers was asked if he would move to play another position before the season, and he said no. So now the Red Sox are in a predicament here because Tristan Casas, who is their first baseman, got hurt last week. He's out for the season. So I guess they asked Devers once again if he could change positions and play first base. And Devers basically is saying no, saying that, quote, yeah, I don't think they stayed true to their word. They told me I was going to be playing this position, DH. And now they're going back on that, which is what they asked before the season. So, yeah, so I don't think they're staying true to their word. Remember, Alex Bregman plays third base. Rafael Devers played third base. They said, Devers, can you play DH? Okay, fine. Now that they have another injury, they're asking him to play first. So who's right here? Neither of them, okay? As a baseball player, you got to be fluid. You got to be willing to step up for the team. You got to be willing to play another position. As a team, you got to have better communication with the player and say, hey, look, if this happens, we may do this, may do that. There's just no winning out of this. This has happened before in the history of Major League Baseball. Devers is one of those players that does have cachet, that can pop off and say these sort of things. In fact, his manager, Alex Cora, before the season said, hey, look, if you feel a certain way and you want to talk to the media, go ahead and do it. In the end, what do I anticipate? At some point, Rafael Devers is going to play first base. Once again, that is my guess. It was my guess before the season that he would play DH. Eventually, I think that he'll relent and he'll play first base. But this is a tougher one. This is not like David Ortiz talking to him and saying, hey, look, just play DH. This is now going back from DH to playing first base. Not so easy. Manny Pacquiao, do you remember him? All those fights against Floyd Mayweather, some of them exciting, some of them boring. Manny Pacquiao is coming out of retirement. This is crazy. He's been retired for 4 years. He's going to face Mario Barrios for the WBC Welterweight Championship on July 19th. Did I mention that he's been retired for 4 years? Why this continues to happen in boxing? This is like the worst regulated sport in the country, that they can allow boxers who've been punched in the face over and over again for their entire lives since they've been very young, 16, 17, all the way through 40, to stop and then come back again. Now, look, this isn't quite like Mike Tyson, not fighting for a million years and then fighting one of the Paul brothers. This is like a legitimate fighter in Barrios. So my estimation is that Pacquiao is going to probably lose this fight, and he's not going to be favored. Did he not make enough money? I think he made, if I'm not mistaken, 15, 20 million per fight against Floyd Mayweather back in the day. So not really sure why this is happening, but we'll wish Manny Pacquiao the best and the best of health as well, although that's debatable at this point. All right, KBO player signed by the Texas Rangers in the international signing period. He was signed for over $1 million. There's a cap, by the way, in the international period that you can only sign players for a limited amount of money. I believe the total amount can be 5, and that's it. If you're wondering why this player is being compared to Shohei Ohtani, but yet he's only getting $1 million, it's because they have a bonus pool as to how much you can sign the player for. Okay, hopefully you got that. So his bonus pool number was 1.1 million. His name is King Sung Jun. He's a shortstop. He's an outfielder. He's a pitcher. And he wants to be the next Ohtani. I got news for you. Everybody wants to be the next Ohtani. There's never going to be the next Ohtani. This is never going to happen again in our lifetime. It didn't happen before mine. It's not going to happen after mine. This guy is the best player that has ever played, that we've ever seen play both positions in sports. It's incredible that they would even consider somebody to be the MVP that's not Ohtani. So good luck to Kim Sung Jun. But trust me, man, you ain't going to do it. It's not going to be possible. All right, that'll do it for the show today. Thanks again to all of our guests, Brad Thomas, Gilbert McGregor, and of course, thanks again to Sam McQuillan from Legal Sports Report as well. And thanks, Danny Burke, for talking some baseball with us. Okay, so I'll be back tomorrow. Fantasy Sports Today is back on the air tomorrow. Okay, that's cool. 8 a.m. Eastern. And for those of you who are playing fantasy sports, you may want to check me and George Kurtz out. If not, I'll see you back here for our next edition of NewsWire Monday morning. Thanks again to Luke, our director, for my producer, Frank. I hope you enjoy the weekend. And don't forget, at the very least, make sure you show up at Mom's house and give her a present. Make a phone call. It is Mother's Day on Sunday. Happy Mother's Day to everyone watching. See you Monday.